Good morning, Max. Oh, yeah. Good morning, sweeties. You don't seem like your usual sparkling self today. I'm always like this before I go in front of an audience. I'm working up to it. Don't get nervous, Maxie. Here, have a glass of milk. Regina! How fabulous! My sweetie pie! My sweetie pie princess! You came to watch my performance today. Of course I did! Mo told me that I should come and watch this. Mo said that? So, what kind of performance will you put on today? Let me guess, you'll fly at the end? It's not that kind of show. Isn't that right, my sweeties? Huh? I think my sweetie pie princess doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't seem to realize what's going on, or even where she is. Well, Max, it looks like it's time to raise the curtain. I'll see you later. Today I'm just a member of the audience. Fabulous. Enjoy yourself out there. Good luck, Max. You're the best. Regina's different, don't you think, Nick? Top of the morning to ya! Everybody, let's get ready to get stuck in legal limbo. How low can you go? Mo. Top of the morning to you, governor. Top of the morning. That's the ticket. Attacking the day starts with energy in the morning. The early bird gets the worm. But then again, worms lack higher brain function. Here, Max, I brought you a present. Have some milk. Oh my. Thanks. So, how are you today, right? Well, I've got a feeling that today I'm going to face off against the real culprit. You mean Acro. Huh? You think he did it? Be careful. He's used to putting his life on the line, literally. He's got guts to spare. If all I've got to worry about is how thin the tightrope is, I'm used to it already. It just means that I won't be able to press him like I can other witnesses. What are you going to do then, Nick? I guess today we'll just have to do without our usual psychological warfare. Today, we rely on evidence. It's the only way we'll get past Acro and to the truth. You're right, but it's gonna be tough. Anyways, I want you to make sure that Regina sees it all today. It's important. Then she'll finally have to deal with the reality of what happened to her father. You want us to make sure Regina watches? Yes, that's why I brought her here to court today. What's that supposed to mean? She needs to know that when people die, they don't just become stars. I may be an old-fashioned clown, but I don't believe in people becoming stars. Okay, well, I am going to hope that we don't have to deal with the shenanigans that we had to deal with Mo, and that we did with that to do with Acro. Hopefully what it means with the evidence part is that it just means that it's not going to change testimony. We just have to look at contradictions in what he says. And hopefully we don't get penalized, cause that's annoying as hell. Court is now in session for the trial of Maximilian Galactica. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well. Miss Von Karma, you may proceed with your case. The prosecution would like to revise its previous theory of events. What's the meaning of this? We have discovered a new witness, or shall I say, a new eyewitness. One that saw Maximilian Galactica fly off from the scene of the crime. Order! Order! I had a feeling something like this would come up. Due to this revision, we are now prepared to explain how the defendant flew that night. An explanation the prosecution will present if the need so arises. In fact, my detective stayed up all night creating a mock-up of the scene on my orders. Poor Gumshoe. Very well, please call your witness to the stand. Time to get to work. Or shall I say, time to walk the courtroom tightrope. Name and occupation. Den Dingling, but everyone calls me Acro. I'm employed as an acrobat at the very big circus. Where were you on the night of the crime? I was in my room that night. If you look at the map, you will see the witness's room is near the crime scene. My room's on the 3rd floor. The crime scene's below my window. The night of the crime, the witness saw something quite shocking. Would you tell us what you witnessed? Okay. Feels weird that he's actually just very much a straight man in all this, compared to just the cacophony of characters in the circus. It was just after 10 p.m. and I was resting in my bed. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise from outside the window. Then a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. It was Max Galactica. I only saw him from behind, but that's who it looked like. To be honest, when I saw that, I thought I was dreaming. This witness's testimony matches up exactly with that of the clown. If that is the case, there is very little the prosecution need add. All that's left to explain is how the defendant disappeared into the sky that night. Before we get that far, I'd like to cross-examine the witness. A foolish choice by a foolish fool who wishes to feel the foolish sadness of a sad fool. A man must know the proper timing for things, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Just like your old friend, Mr. Miles Edgeworth did. Mr. Wright, do you have a problem with the witness's testimony? In the words of Miss Von Karma, may I quote yesterday's proceedings? There's no way that actually happened. Very well. You may proceed with your cross-examination. Okay, well, considering what Phoenix said earlier, let's at least go through what Acro said. Just after 10, I was resting in my bed. Around the time I heard a large thump. Then a few moments later, I saw someone flying. It was Max. I only saw him from behind. I saw that I thought I was dreaming. Okay. Nothing's really standing out, so until I get penalized for doing so, the fact that they didn't say it leads me to believe that I should probably press. Worst case scenario, I press everything, nothing changes, and I won't even need to present anything, and it'll go to the next part of the testimony. You said that you were resting in bed. One would thus assume that you turned the lights off in your room, correct? That's correct. But there are safety lights around the outside of the lodge house. It's so bright, sometimes it can make it hard to sleep. If that's the case, wouldn't it be a good idea to close some curtains? I never really thought of that. I guess that means I'm off to buy some curtains. Sometimes I do make myself useful in these chambers. No! The witness will proceed with his testimony. Okay, so nothing there. Heard a large thump noise. Your room is on the 3rd floor, right? Yes. And you said that you were resting in bed? That is correct. But you were still able to hear a sound from outside. I was indeed. Acro doesn't seem to get results. But maybe something was contradictory in what he said just now. Not really. I'm gonna say there's nothing wrong and come back to this later. What's the matter, Mr. Wright? Nothing, Your Honor. Until I can find a clear contradiction, I should tread lightly. Yeah, okay. So this seems to be it. Around that time, around 10 p.m., I heard a large thump noise. So if there was some way that he couldn't have heard it, that would be where our contradiction would lie. Or that there was something that would be outside that 10 p.m. range. But I don't think there's really anything that would say that. Because time death around 10:15, but that doesn't inherently contradict the evidence. At least not anything that I can. And then there's the note, but nothing about the note's going to be helpful at this point in time. Unless it's something like this. But trying to tie him to this in a way that makes sense is going to be a problem. We know Acro wrote this. And we know why he did it. The question is very much, how do we tie that? And I don't think we can tie it to this. Not right now, at any rate. A few moments later, I saw someone flying. We'll just press everything and go from there. Are you sure it was a human being? It could have been a mannequin, or perhaps a large action figure. Well, setting aside the possibility of a mannequin, an action figure is possible. You have no need to mince words with Mr. Phoenix Wright. Testify to the truth, and only the truth. Just as if we were there with you that night. I believe it was a human. Damn! Just strengthened his testimony. I wonder if Acro's statement jives with the facts. Are they going to do this every single time? That's... Okay, that makes that very much iffy. If they're giving me multiple instances of that, the only thing it wasn't was just after 10 p.m. But they're giving me an option for the thump noise and then someone flying. I mean, it could be a mannequin, but nothing that we've seen up to this point would indicate a mannequin doing that. At least I'm from behind. We'll try this. The light in your room was turned off then, right? That's true. I was going to bed after all. So with the lights off, you were still able to clearly see a human fly by your window. The safety lights lit things up enough for me to see. But honestly, there was only enough light for me to see the silhouette outside my window. It was the person's back, so I couldn't see the white roses on the front. Did you see any of the other symbols? I clearly saw the silk hat as well as the cloak wrapped around his body. Okay. The hat was left at the crime scene, so unless the hat fell off during the ascent, that's a contradiction. I'm convinced that the person I saw was Max Galactica. The more I press and the less results I seem to get. But maybe there was something fishy with this latest bit of testimony. We'll come back to this. I want to press everything. Okay. Yeah, at least I'm from behind. This is the last one. I think this. Because we know that the hat was left behind, if he clearly saw the hat, then he's either lying or somehow the hat fell off during that ascent. We'll press the last thing and then go back to that, because that's the only contradiction that I see so far. When did you start thinking that what you saw wasn't a dream?
That's not important. I believe that the prosecution has done a bit of maintenance on the witness's memory.
Just to make sure, let's ask the witness.
Oh! Objection!
Sustained.
Don't sustain that! Acro must be lying about what he saw, right?
Of course he is. Now the challenge would be to expose his lies in court.
Well, put the pedal to the metal, Nick.
Okay, so that's the only thing that I can find. It was Max. I only saw what he looked like. I only saw him from behind. And it's during the actual pressing that we can get that. Safe lights were enough. Enough to see the silhouette. It was the person's back, so he couldn't see the roses. But he clearly saw the hat and the cloak. Yes, because the hat was left behind. There's a huge contradiction with the testimony that was just given. If there's a contradiction, then prove it with evidence. She's right. Let's see some evidence. Do you have any evidence to support your claim of a contradiction? What was going on there? Okay, so, first, alright, the crime scene photo doesn't have anything, but the hat was left. It was found at the crime scene. You claim to have seen the exact same thing Mo saw that night. Do you stand by that? What do you mean? The silk hat. What about the silk hat? I saw it on Max's head as he flew by my window. Well, you should have tried looking down out your window that night. That would have been quite difficult considering the state that I'm in. Just looking outside of the window was a tough enough challenge for me. That's a shame, because you have noticed the silk hat found on the scene. That's the ringmaster's hat, right? Afraid not. No matter how you look at it, this is Max's silk hat. Where are you going with this, Mr. Wright? Are you saying that Max has two silk hats? No. This is a handmade, one-of-a-kind model made only for Maximilian Galactica. Which means, Acro, that you've been fibbing on the stand! Order! Order! As always, it looks like someone just had to open their mouth before thinking. Are you okay, Nick? Well, I opened my big mouth and now I have to back it up. How about it, Mr. Wright? What would cause this witness to commit perjury in this court today? He has a grudge against Max. He has nothing against Max. It's Regina that he has a beef with. Because he's convinced that it was Regina's fault that his brother's in a coma. So he's trying to basically ruin Regina, which killed her father, and gets her presumed fiance-ish, love interest-ish, thrown behind bars. When his brother also had a major crush on her. The only reason that he's doing this is because he is the real culprit behind this. I don't know exactly how he's pulled this off. Maybe he's faking just being paralyzed. But that would have to be the reason. It's because he's the real culprit. We see nothing of him being against Max, and obviously it's not a dream. So he has to be the real culprit. We know he's the real culprit. It's just a matter of putting everything together. He orchestrated everything tying to the incident 6 months ago. So we're gonna go with that. Your Honor, on this occasion, the defense accuses Acro himself. On this occasion... Accuses Acro? What in the world are you accusing him of? Obviously, we accuse him of the murder of Mr. Russell Berry. Mr. Wright, are you serious? Deadly serious, Your Honor.
I think your trips to the circus have served you well. You seem to have learned how to try and grab at an audience's hearts and minds. Your Honor, don't allow yourself to be swayed by theatrics. Trying to wow the crowd with smoke and mirrors is the oldest bluff in the book.
Really?
If you don't believe me, just look at the witness. He's calm enough for it to almost be scary.
It's just poking Phoenix's head. He is staying rather calm and collected. Mr. Dingling, do you have any response to the defense's accusation? I don't really need to say a thing, do I? What do you mean? Everyone, take a good look at me. I can't even stand up by myself, let alone leave the lodging house. That's true. I understand that Mr. Wright is just trying to help his client. But to do this by accusing me of murder of all things...
See, even a sliver of common sense makes it clear the accusation is ludicrous.
She's right! Way to pick on a disabled, you heartless, cruel man!
Phoenix is a poopy head! See that, Mr. Phoenix Wright? If you're trying to drum up support from the peanut gallery, that's how you do it. I think that's enough of this little game. I've got a doctor's note to confirm that Acro is unable to stand under his own power. Maybe the defense is planning to make a claim to counter this as well? I can hear the defense now. Acro had an accomplice!
What do you say about this, Mr. Wright? Did Acro have an accomplice? Does he?
Ah!
Is it money? Is it money? The accomplice? That'd be hilarious. And I'm kind of thinking that it is. Because his brother's still comatose, as far as we know. Mo, we know he was in his room. We don't really know where Regina is in all of this, but then again, like, why would she cooperate with him to murder her own father? That doesn't really make any sense. There's Ben. But Ben was just kind of waiting outside. Well, that's the other thing when it comes to Ben. Ben got the ring stolen from him by money. And he didn't really come back until after the murder had happened. So... yeah, I'm thinking it's either Ben or it's money. Which, honestly, with this game, I would totally believe that'd be crazy enough to be the monkey. Especially, well, hold on. The monkey, all the monkey stuff is in Acro's room. And he takes care of money. So, that would actually make the most sense to me. Well, considering it's only 1 point off if I get this wrong. Honestly, it's so crazy enough, I would believe it. But if I get it wrong, it's not that much of a penalty, so I'll go for it. It's impossible for Acro to be the murderer in this case. If that's the case, then it's natural for one to consider possible accomplices. You don't say. Not good. Not good. This isn't going to end well. Don't tell me you think you're going to get off easy. What? You must not have heard that sound just now. Maybe it wasn't clear enough. The sound of you falling into your own trap can be hard to notice sometimes. Mr. Wright, it seems that you won't be stopping Acro, but we may be making other accusations.
Akro did not have an accomplice. Things are not looking good for you. I understand, Your Honor. Very well. Let's continue. Who perchance would happen to be Akro's accomplice? It's the monkey, isn't it? It's gotta be the monkey. Because honestly, I can't think of anyone else. Like, no one here, I think everyone else has an alibi. Max Zerkline, obviously. Ben was outside trying to find the ring. Regina, we have no idea what happened with her, but there's no way that she would help facilitate her own father's murder. At least not that we're aware of. Mo was in his room, and Bat is in a coma. The only thing I can think of is the monkey! So let's go with the monkey! You don't say! Uh-oh. This is suddenly looking very, very bad. Don't tell me you think you're going to get off easy. What? Oh, did you hear that? Hear what? The sound of you getting caught in your own trap. But a splendid accomplice! I'm sure this accusation is built on a solid foundation. Foundation? Yes, Mr. Wright. Do you have any proof that this person you're accused was indeed an accomplice? Oh, jeez. Either they're really setting me up on this, or... Oh, boy. Okay. Do I have any proof that money was an accomplice? Habitually gathers all sorts of shiny objects. Do I? I don't know. Oh, I wasn't expecting this. It was basically word for word the same, and now it's slightly more. I don't have the vest. Not that that would really help me. Do I have any proof that the person I've accused was indeed an accomplice? The bust? The bust is actually rather shiny. But the bust wasn't found at the scene. I'm thinking that it was the box that fell on him, but the fact that the bust is still missing and could very well be used as a blunt force object, the fact that it's shiny, that's making me consider that might be it. I am very much grasping at straws here because I was not expecting this to go further. Because it's not like there were any footprints of a monkey here. I think I'm boned. I don't think I got anything. I'm gonna try the bust. I have zero confidence in this, but we'll try it. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? This piece of evidence is lacking in persuasive power. You didn't miss that sound, did you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? You know, the sound of you receiving a penalty! Ah! What are you doing, Nick? Okay. Wow, that was a very, very long-winded wait. Okay. The fact that they let me do that... But the fact that it was so generic, and the judge even said that one person. Like, that person? Even though it was a monkey. But at least I also know now what exactly it is that they're looking for to accuse them of that. I need to find an accomplice as well as a way to connect that accomplice. And I do not think I have anything. I was very much grasping at straws there at the end. other idea. This is how we connect the note. Regina could very well be an accomplice, albeit an unknowing one. At the Lodging House Plaza, that it would explain why Russell had to be there. It's gonna be a little risky. I'm willing to accept the first loss. I am going to make a save state, though, just to be on the safe side. We have a long set of trials and things ahead of us. I do not want to lose all of my potential options super early on. So I'm gonna try again. I'm going to try again. Okay. So let's instead try this angle. We'll say Regina. Because it's so generic, they're not going to tell me whether or not that's right. It's very generic, which is why it leads me to believe that, like, it has to be that. Like, it's very generic, so that way it's very difficult to try to pinpoint what exactly it is. But the note. Regina may not have been a willing accomplice, but she was still an accomplice. Nope. Well, that was worth a shot. Well, just so that way I keep that, I'm just gonna reload the save state. Hate doing it like this, but it's gonna be a long day of trial. I'm gonna say no. At this point, if I get the penalty, then I won't reload the save state immediately, but at least I'll know that it's a trick and they're just trying to say, no, it is just him. Now then, this must be when we get to hear the name of the mystery accomplice. Not this time, Von Karma. What? You're not going to sucker me into this one. What are you blabbering about, Mr. Wright? There was no accomplice. Acro planned and committed this murder all by himself. Alright, I think I got it. It was a trick. Order! Order! What are you getting at? Way to keep them on their toes, Nick. I'm gonna have to prove how it all fits together. I have to show how Acro murdered Russell Berry. Can you do it, Nick? Can you really do that? I know what I can't do. I can't stop now. If I stop attacking, I'm doomed. Alright, then let's do it. Mr. Phoenix Wright, if this witness is the killer, then his eyewitness account is all lies, right? Mr. Wright, I'd like you to clear something up for me. When the crime was committed, exactly where was Mr. Dingling? Where was Acro? I mean, he was here at the scene of the crime. There's no way he was anywhere but exactly right here. In the plaza? He was at the scene of the crime itself? You're right, though. The murderer would have to have met the murderer would have had to have met the victim.
Objection!
Ow! Miss Von Karma, stop it! You will be quiet and refrain from striking people. The witness could not have possibly left the lodging house on his own! Not to mention that Mr. Phoenix Wright just said there was no accomplice, remember? Yeah, you're right. Think I can get another chance? Wait just 1 minute. Don't forget about my proverbial whip as well. Ah! Mr. Wright, I'd like you to clear... okay, so no, not the plaza. It is interesting that they did specifically mention that. So where was he during the murder? I mean, in his room then? I don't know what exactly... Like, the plaza was wrong. I don't know what exactly they're trying to get me to go with. I'll say his room, but I'm not sure that really helped, because... So where exactly was Acro? He apparently wasn't there at the plaza. I mean, if he was in his room, if he is the murderer, then he would have dropped the bust on Russell's head from the 3rd floor window. What that doesn't explain, though, is... who exactly was Max, then? And how did they take off? I'm gonna say his room. I have no idea what they're trying to get me to do. Take that! He was obviously here the entire time. That's Acro's room. Pretty simple, huh? Acro wasn't able to leave the lodging house by himself. In that case, there can only be one correct answer. Acro didn't leave his room to kill the ringmaster. What? Are you nuts? What say you, Mr. Dingling? It's an interesting theory. That's it? Considering what you propose is impossible, yes, that's it. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? As the witness has stated, your assertion is impossible. As he is in a wheelchair, there's no way he could go to the scene or be the killer. You've got a point.
It seems you've forgotten once again, Mr. Phoenix Wright. The defendant was clearly spotted at the scene of the crime.
That's true.
Mo said that he saw Max, didn't he? But Maya, it's still impossible for humans to fly.
Do you mind if I ask a question, Mr. Wright? What is it? I understand some of your logic. However, how do you think that I killed him? If I can't leave my room, I obviously couldn't wear Max's costume. How did he do it? That's the next course of this illegal buffet.
Be careful, Nick. If you mess up here...
She's right. I can't mess up here. I've got to give this one some serious thought. I'm sure that Acro killed the ringmaster. And he did it while he was in his room. No doubt about it. Time to enlighten us as to how Mr. Dingling committed the crime, Mr. Wright. Wow, they are really making this hard. Okay. So it's either the box, because the box being there is just weird. Because that was kind of what the whole point of, like, meet me here. Meet me by the lodging house at 10 p.m. tonight. So it's either the box, which contains the pepper, which was the result of his brother being in a coma, or the bust, which was stolen by the monkey several days prior, that was then dropped on the ringmaster's head. It is one of those two things. I think we do have to present evidence. I'm thinking it should be the bust because the bust is still missing. Whereas the suit, the box, if it's the box, then perhaps there would be fingerprints. So maybe that. I
mean, either way, both of those would be really heavy and could break Russell's neck. But it still begs the question of how exactly Acro was able to do that. Which I'm thinking, again, he's still not actually wheelchair bound. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I gotta present evidence. Phoenix even said I have to be on the attack, so I'm going to present some evidence. So what did Mr. Dingling use to commit the crime of murder against Russell Berry? Okay, so that leads us to our question. Do we go with the missing bust, or do we go with the box?